time. Faster than ever, hungry and I'm going to come back and take what is mine. Bigger and better. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. Saddle, cut to the chase. I ain't somebody who stays in one place. Ready to go, I'm coming to play. You better know I still got something to say. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. Some things are different, but nothing has changed. Still got my number, still got my name. Tell everybody I'm back in the game. match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know that I was born for this. I was born for this. Never met a match I couldn't handle. No one else could ever hold a candle. Get ready for a battle, cause you know I was born. I tell you I was born for this. Ain't nothing gonna stop me now. I was born for this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to Road Course Racing as we are down to the final 2 races of the regular season. This is the penultimate race of the regular season, and tonight we're going road course racing. It is at Watkins Glen International. Man, this should be a good one. We're excited. We're ready to bring it to you. Coverage of iRacing on LSRTV, simulcast on the Community Radio Network, and we are set to go here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Wesley Outland. Justin Prince will be back here with me very, very soon. So excited to have Justin Prince back after having a little being out, being under the weather, being sick, and it's good to have him back here with us again, and we're looking forward to this race this evening. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to our coverage, iRacing on LSRTV. Again, Charles Wooten in the Rocket Media Live Sim Racing TV production truck, handling everything that's going on behind the scenes. So let's set the stage for you. Obviously, Watkins Glen, 7 turns. You're going to be hearing words tonight from Justin and I's dialogue that's going to consist of the long chute. The back straightaway will be coming off of the S's. The S's will go to the inner loop. That's the entrance of the inner loop right there for those that are watching on the broadcast right now. To the entrance of turn number 4 and 5 to the carousel. The carousel will then work their way to around the carousel to the boot, which will be a 90-degree right-hander and then a 90-degree left-hander to turns number 6 and 7 and back down to the start-finish line down the front straightaway. And that is going to be some of the analogies of things that we'll use to describe what we're going to see here tonight at the historic track that is the Watkins Glen International. Weather conditions, you couldn't ask for any better. Let's take a look at it real quickly on the virtual sim as qualifying is on track right now as well. Bottom right of the monitor, and your weather conditions for tonight. Weather conditions for tonight include air temperature at 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temp just around 100 degrees. It's 96 degrees Fahrenheit. Wind speed 2 to 3 miles an hour, kind of blowing back and forth. Mostly cloudy skies, but you do see the sun beaming on Watkins Glen right now as you look at the S's. Look at the S's coming off of turn number 1 and 2 to the S's around the racetrack. Going to be exciting, going to be fun. We're excited that we are ready to bring this to you here for iRacing on LSR TV and on the Community Radio Network. Again, this is the penultimate race of the regular season. If you want to get a win, you want to make yourself into the top 12 to be in the points for a championship playoff run, you've got to do it. You've got to do it now. Of course, the man that's coming off of the most recent win last week is the driver of Mr. Caden Anderson. He dominated Richmond Raceway for both the Cup and the Truck Series last Monday and Thursday night, and now he carries a wealth of momentum, moving himself into tonight's event here at Watkins Glen. Tonight's race will be on the road course 110 and a quarter miles, 110 miles, 45 laps. That is basically half the distance if it would be a full 90-lap NASCAR Cup Series race like they raced at Watkins Glen yesterday, where Kyle Larson won, and he won, of course, the 80-lap Xfinity race on Saturday. So he swept Watkins Glen And we're going to see where Caden Anderson swept Richmond last week. We'll see if he can continue that momentum. Some other drivers will also be watching along the way. And again, as we mentioned, this is the penultimate race of the regular season. Next week is Darlington. And then we move in, of course, into the playoffs after a week off on Labor Day. We run to the championship, and that includes Auto Club Speedway coming up, the Charlotte Roval. All of those are on the way in a run to the playoffs and the first opening rounds. Let's take a look at the, let's give you the point standings now. I'll give it to you in description for those that are listening on CRN or watching on iRacing on LSRTV. Lake Peterson has an 11-point lead now over Cole Raz. Caden Anderson, winner last week at Richmond, now 52 points back. By the way, 8 wins for Lake Peterson, 5 wins for Cole Raz, and 4 wins for Caden Anderson. Those have been the big 3 this year, if you will, for the Northwest Cup Series. Brian Barnes, who had a pretty good opportunity at one time or another, being at the top of the points, being consistent, is fell back to 4th. He currently is 58 points back to the leader of Lake Peterson. Dan West Jr., the 2-time defending Truck Series champion, is 5th in the point standing, 70 points back. Then it's Sean Brightsman, the 2020 Cup Series champion of the Northwest. He's 86 back to Peterson, followed by 120 back for Kevin Smith in 7th. Briar Reynolds is 133 back in 8th. Jeff Stabnow is 9th, 134 back. At 144 back is, of course, Aaron Cooper in the top 10 in the number 71 machine. So that right there is currently your point standings. The driver that is on the bubble fighting to make it into the top 12 include Chris White in 11th, series champion of last year, and the ARCA champion of last year, Ryan Bloom, is in 12th. Drivers like Kenneth Garber, Toby Ritters, Carl Burke, or even Frank Harris are basically right in that that mathematical area of trying to punch themselves into that final 12 positions. And that is currently the way it stands right now with the point standings going into tonight's event here at Watkins Glen International. Again, we're going to go 45 laps of racing. Justin Prince will be joining me very, very shortly. And this should be, again, a fun race. Road course racing is such a different animal than going into the regular circle world. And you got to be aggressive, but you've also got to know when to be patient. You got to know to hit your marks. You can't make those moves on the rumble strips cost you at the end. And to be there at the end, you must first race your way through this event. And I'm pretty sure that this race will finish on the scheduled distance as it normally is. Normally there is an unscheduled caution that will fall sometime between, halfway, somewhere around that number. Am I correct, Charles? Are we being told it's going to be between? It's between 20 to 25, I'm thinking, somewhere around that number, right before halfway. So that is the information we're given. There's a look at the front straightaway coming off of turn number 7. Obviously, another thing that's going to be interesting will be the entrance of pit road. The drivers will be pitting in the right coming onto pit lane instead of making left-hand turns onto the pit lane. So obviously when they pit their cars, they'll pit their cars on the left side first and the right sides for the exit, for the pit exit. There's that inner loop we were telling you about. Obviously, you see the cones. That is a forbidden area. If a driver goes past that cone, they're subject to a penalty, meaning that they're going to have to stop their car, or if they don't, they get an EOL penalty. So that's some of the things that we will be keeping up with, kind of like in the Cup Series race yesterday or the Xfinity race, where if somebody misses the inner loop and they go straight across, still they suffer they got to stop their car. And if they don't stop their car, when they come back around, they get a black flag. So anyhow, the field is gridded. We're going to give them 1 lap under caution, and they'll come to the green flag. Let's look at the starting lineup for the round 22, the Northwest Racing Series Cup cars here tonight. Watkins Glen. Well, what do you know? Super Friends are on the front row. Cole Raz in the number 10. Caden Anderson, he's on the outside. That is actually inside and outside from the starting lineup, row 1. Row 2, Lake Peterson, right there with them again, as we mentioned, those big 3 drivers. And Kevin Smith of the 00 from, of course, Walla Walla, Washington, will start in the 4th position. Row number 3, Noah Shawinski, the 96, and Dan West Jr. will fire off 3rd in the 55. Row 4, 2020 Cup Series champion Sean Brightsman, and the driver that's won a couple of races this year, Devin West in the 5. Row 4. Row 5, Ryan Bloom, the 2021 ARCA Northwest champion, and Stephen Paulison, coming off of the Majors race last night, is also on the dirt at Weedsport. He'll be back in New York at Watkins Glen. He'll start 10th. Row number 6, William Fletcher, the 028 machine, to his outside, Robert Campbell in car number 54. Row 7, the champion of last year, Chris White, on the number 24, Jeff Stabnow from Billings, Montana. Row 8, Brian Reynolds in the number 12 machine. To his outside, the Catman, James Vining, 333, good qualifying run. He'll start 16th. Row number 9, John Odenbacher, also from Billings, Montana, along with Stabnow, the 89. To the outside, Brian Barnes in the Popsicle number 4. Row number 10, top 20, Chad Malik in the number 06. And Russ Lundberg digging that hair in the 129. He'll start 20th. Row 11, Jaden Ledbetter in the car number 36 machine as the field begins to roll behind the toe of the pace car. To the outside, the legend, Carl Burke in car number 53. Toby Ritters, Clifford, needed to have a decent run to keep himself in the round of 12 first-round playoffs and in the 12th spot in the point season, the 23. To the outside, Casey Garber in car number 94. Had a good, solid top 3 at Richmond the other night. B.J. Tidrick will start in the 25th position. Stephen O'Hare is 26th. Row 14 will find Troy Dagan in 99, Chris Camary in the number 15. In row number 15, Aaron Cooper, runner-up finish at Daytona, best highlight of the year. And Frank Harris, the legend, will be in the 11 car starting 30th. There is your starting lineup for this race tonight at Watkins Glen. Understanding from our Northwest Racing Series race control to our producer, Charles Wooten, relaying it to me in my ear. Between laps 21 to 27 will be the mandatory caution. The caution will fall somewhere between lap 21 and 27, just before halfway or just after halfway as well. 45 laps the distance, 110 miles. Here at Watkins Glen, you see them working their way now into the inner loop part of the racetrack. The inner loop comes off of turn number 4, 5, 6 to the S's. This is now the carousel of the racetrack. What used to be known as the boot, no longer being used. A lot of people, even yesterday, were talking about, man, I wish they'd bring the boot back. Right there where you see the rumble strips are, to the right where the cones, that is the entrance of what the boot used to be, but no longer using that boot anymore. A 90-degree turn, a 90-degree left-hander coming up here for turn number 5 into turn number 6. This is the 90-degree turn that we mentioned. The left-hander right here, 90 degrees, and then they'll come back around to turn number 7 in just a moment. Another 90-degree right-hand turn onto the straightaway. The pits will be to the right side as well. And there is that sharp 90-degree turn as they make their way back to the front straightaway here. 7 turns, Watkins Glen, the penultimate race of the regular season. Find Super Friends on the front row. Watkins Glen, green flag in the air. We're a road course racing. And ladies and gentlemen, you have a virtual race. Hitting their marks into that first turn will be the driver, Cole Raz. Look at him sticking it 4 and 5 wide behind them. Great racing amongst this 30-car pack as they'll settle into turn number 2, a 3-4 to the S's. Through the S's now. Making their way into the corner. Great racing going on in the opening lap. Down what they would call the back straightaway here at Watkins Glen. The back stretch now puts them into what would be known as the inner loop. And that's the inner loop. The inner loop, and you see a couple of drivers overshooting the inner loop. One car did. And they got to give up those spots back. As all the while, now they go to the carousel. The carousel to turn number 5 and 6. Down to turn 6 now. Sharp 90-degree turn left-hander. Working their way down to that turn. Everybody so far clean and holding their position. Now working down that short chute into turn number 7. Another 90-degree turn right-hander. One car going off the racetrack. They get back on course. Here comes the cavalry off turn 4. Roaring past our finish line. And that is a lap 1 in at Watkins Glen. Looks like Stephen Paulison is coming off of pit road in the 58 car. His car off the pace. There's a problem on the 58 machine. Paulison now rolling. I think he just took a penalty or something, had to go to the tail end of the field. I'm not sure. But Paulison in that Ford Mustang GT now back rolling. He has lost big ground on everyone else. Carl Burke also way behind everybody in the 53. Jeff Stab now sparking, jumping the grass, jumping the rumble strips. Losing ground in 17th, just got bypassed by the Auto Nation entry. That's Ritters, Tedrick, Malik getting rounded. Jeff Stab now with a problem. That car way, oh man, oh no, that's a handling toe-in issue on the right front. Or excuse me, the left front wheel of the 24. So already sparks coming from that car. We got cars spinning. That's Audenbaugh. It's Russ Lundberg, the 129 car. Russ Lundberg's car going off course. Oh, and by the way, my apologies. They have made it a 55-lap race. Caden Anderson, winner last week at Richmond. He's in trouble off the pace. I was under the impression it was a 45-lap race, but they have made it 55 laps tonight. Understanding Lake Peterson just ran the fastest lap of the race to the number 9. Got the colors of the Quaker State number 9 Camaro for Lake Peterson. Obviously sporting the throwback look of what would be Chase Elliott's car. Of course, Chase Elliott locked up the regular season championship for the Cup Series yesterday at Watkins Glen. And had a little bit of a controversial finish with Kyle Larson in the final lap of the race. A lot of people are talking about. All Chase Elliott could say was congratulations. That's all he could say. 4 laps in of 55. Here at Watkins Glen International in the opening laps. I'll be joined momentarily by Justin Prince. He was handling some other iRacing network obligations. As soon as he concludes that, he'll be joining me in the booth. Haven't worked with him in over 3 weeks, so it's going to be good to have him back with us again. Boraz, Lake Peterson. There's Dan West Jr., Devin West on board with him. In front of him on board is Chris White. Chris White through the inner loop, now making his way to the carousel. Goes to the outside, couldn't get there. See that entrance of those cones right here coming off of this turn, straight ahead. That's where they would call it the boot. And the boot would then work its way back around and come back on entrance over here at the far end of where you would turn before you come back to that 90-degree left-hander. Still on board with Chris White as he hits that 90-degree right-hander turn, coming back to start-finish. A lot of races are won and lost here on this straightaway. You see how long it is the distance to get to start-finish. And back in front of the crowd in that turn number 1 area. Turn 1 to lead their way back up to the S's. Here at Watkins Glen, they'll turn to turn 1, now to turn number 2. Turn number 2, 3, and 4 to the S's, up the hill, down the hill. Back up, now to a straightaway. At speed, still on board with Chris White. See him getting on the binders now, going to the inner loop. Into the inner loop. Going back around to Devin West. See all these cars negotiating through here. And while all this goes on, it happens. Again, it's still the man out in front of Raz. We got a car smoking. Caden Anderson in trouble. Caden Anderson going off track. He has just damaged the front nose of the car. There's the exit of that boot that I was telling you about. The cone's the entrance of the boot. The exit is right there that he just passed. And he's got damage on his car. Sparks on the number 37 of Yakima, Washington's Caden Anderson. He's not short track racing anymore, and he's struggling here on the road course. He has locked up the left front. The left front wheel is locked up. It's bowed on the number 37. He has no choice but to come to the pit lane and take a fast repair already on lap number 5. So it is Raz, Peterson, West. That's Dan West, Kevin Smith, Ryan Bloom, Noah Shawinski, Devin West. And this is now the Malik and Garber going at it. Chad Malik, Casey Garber in front of them. Also Malik and Ritters coming off that turn number 4 down the straightaway, leading their way to the inner loop. The entrance for Garber. Enters it perfectly. Almost jumps over the rumble strips. Keeps the car from going out of control. Watkins Glen, just a very, very unique racetrack. Here comes another battle that's brewing for position. That's with Ryan Bloom in 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th. Bloom, Shawinski, West, White, Brightsman coming across the start-finish line. And that's that battle now between those cars of Bloom through White. That's 5th through 8th. And Kevin Smith in front of them for 4th. Got a battle going now for the lead as they work their way off of turn number 3. Through the S's, back down the back straightaway here at Watkins Glen, hitting the inner loop. That's Raz, the 10 car. Behind him, the number 9, Lake Peterson. Both of these drivers with the most wins this year for anybody else on the series. Lake Peterson has 8 wins. Cole Raz has 5 wins. Side by side, Raz throws it in there. He got pushed off. He about put in the sand trap. And they both made contact. And even though Peterson made contact, he lost the lead as Raz, missing the sand trap, will still pass Peterson to go to the lead now. Couple of Camaros fighting for position. And now lead change. Peterson tried so hard he couldn't get there. He tried. Raz will hold on to that top spot. Boy, I thought Lake Peterson was going to try to make that bonsai move in turn number 6 to that 90-degree left-hander and take that spot away, but it looked like he lost control as well, or at least lost power. Now he's got to reel him back in again. He's already 1.2 seconds back. Anderson having problems. The other drivers of the big 3, Raz and Peterson, they're 1 and 2. West, there you see him just a moment ago, popping through the inner loop. There goes James Vining, along with Barnes. This is 13th and 14th. Best battle on the speedway, we're being told by our producers right now. Audenbacher in that mix as well, with Tidrick and Ledbetter. That's 5 cars going through the inner loop, working their way back around now to the carousel into turn number 4 and 5. There's the entrance of that boot that I was telling you about here at Watkins Glen, but they're not racing it. And we got problems. Kevin Smith turned around. Everybody quickly on the binders to go high to miss the 00. Look out. Briar Reynolds checking up to avoid. And Kevin Smith turns his Ford Mustang GT back in the right direction. Pointed forward, and he's going to try to keep on going, but he lost a lot of ground to everyone else. At one moment ago, he was in the top 5. Now he falls all the way back to the 17th position as they work off turn number 7. Road course racing, Watkins Glen. You could even say that this could be anomaly wild card to determine a shakeup for the points to make the top 12 of the round of 12. Anything can and will happen with Raz still the leader. Out in front. All of this happening as they work their way again past the start-finish line. Raz, Peterson, West, Bloom, Shawinski. They are your top 5 in the early going of this event. And again, mind you, still a long way to go here tonight in this race. 55 laps the distance. We're only on lap number 9. Raz, Peterson, West, Bloom, Shawinski, your top 5. Back across the start-finish line. I've got a battle now heated up for the lead as Lake Peterson has ran back down. Cole Raz again. Working 10 laps on the board when they come back to start-finish this time by. Lap 9, car 9. Lake Peterson reeling in the 10. As they approach lap 10. You catch the segue? And now Dan West Jr. way back there waiting patiently. They work through the inner loop. Blake Peterson stays hooked at the bottom of the racetrack. Raz will not open the door for him. Remember, this is where they made the contact the last time, coming off the carousel, going into that 90-degree left-hander. Right here is where they got together. Peterson remembers. Raz does too. Deja vu, will it happen? No, they give each other plenty of room, even though Peterson goes off course. Back into turn number 7 now. Off turn 7, back to start finish. Single file. There you see the distance behind third place car, Dan West Jr. He's about 4.5 seconds back to the leaders as they now work their way through turn 1 and 2, come through the S's, and there's Dan West Jr., the 55. He's in third. Ryan Bloom behind them. He's got a gaggle of traffic also to deal with in the Noah Shawinski entry. Devin West, Chris White, and Sean Breitzman. That is a nice view from high above here. From our copter view, high above Watkins Glen. And there's that battle that we mentioned again here. Bloom, Shawinski, West, White, Breitzman. You're watching it from the drone view. I'm understanding the helicopter view not available, so it's the drone view here at Watkins Glen. There's that boot that I was telling you about. You see the boot? See where it's up on the top left? And you come back on and you enter it again. A lot of people wish that NASCAR and Watkins Glen and many people would bring the boot back. Just have not done it yet. No boot for you. Off of turn 7, back at speed. Wow, look at him fly to the start finish. Look at this one. Just high above start finish line. There's Dan West Jr. third. There's your single cars of 5 of them right there in the pack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is actually Bloom, Shawinski, West, and White. Breitzman working through the S's. Here they come up to the S's. That's turns 2, 3, and 4. Off the back straightaway now, coming up in a moment. To the inner loop. This is the backstretch part of the track. Sean Breitzman almost went out course in 46, trying to make a run down there on Chris White's car. To the inner loop. So far, everybody patiently being able to... Wow, I love that camera. That's the Coyote camera. Raz, the man, still the leader. He's still holding off Peterson. There's your third place car, West. There's Bloom, Shawinski, Devin West. All these cars down with the top 5. For the most part, they all play patient. Now we got another battle brewing for position on the racetrack. Understanding best battle, James Vining, 333. Ottenbacher on the driver left. Driver right, Tidrick in 72. He's got help also from that machine of Ledbetter. All of this going on now as they work their way as Cole Raz change for the lead now, going to the inner loop. New leader as it is Cole Raz getting put back to second. Lake Peterson dirt tracks his way to the lead. Coming out of the inner loop, he was sideways, and he is now being the new man up in front. Timing and scoring has him officially as the new leader. It's not done officially as a lap until he crosses the start-finish line. But with that said, bound to happen. A strong drive, a strong run so far for that man of Lake Peterson. He tried earlier, kind of slipped a little bit. Had to reset, shake off the cobwebs, if you will. And now he has put himself back into the #1 spot. There's Breitzman, 2020 Series champion. Another battle brewing there as Breitzman's in 8th. Here comes now Kamari. Kamari and Daggett battle, the 15 and 99. This is on the racetrack for 22nd and 23rd. In the back of the pack, for people that always say we don't show any other drivers in other races going on through the field, well, you're wrong, because this is what we're following. All the way in the top 20. We're not just following the leader. And in doing so, we continue to watch these drivers working their way. Let's Let's go gyro cam with Troy Daggett now. Battle for 22nd and 23rd continues. On the gyro, he's got driver right, Camary. Chris Camary reeling him in there. Off the corner, on the gyro cam. Off the S's, to the back straightaway here at the Glen. Camary drifts up in front of Daggett. Well, it looked like maybe Daggett got in the binders a little too fast on braking before Camary did. And now he's got to try to reel him back in here. Well, he might have lost some ground to him. Working to the carousel now. Carousel, turn 5. Hard to believe Watkins Glen is only 7 turns. Now back in the day, when they used the boot, back in the day, it would actually made it an 11-turn or 10-turn road course. But they don't use that anymore. Actually, they haven't used it in a while. Camary stays up on driver left. He's battling with Daggett. Now here comes Paulison and Anderson in this mix. This is 22nd through 24th. Going on track here. Watching them now working their way. Remember, somewhere between lap number 21 and 27 will be when the caution is thrown. We're already on lap number 16. So they are willing and dealing here. Next week, we go to, of course, the final race of the regular season points, and that will be at Darlington Raceway. And then we'll reset for the round of 12 for a championship after the Labor Day week off on Monday, September 5th. We come back then on the, I think it's the 13th, and that is the race for the championship. Now, September the 13th will be the first round of the playoffs, and that'll be at Auto Club Speedway. Or September the 12th, my apologies, September 12th. And then, of course, Auto Club, Charlotte, Roval, Kentucky, which is not even a track that they race at anymore, but that'll be the first 3 rounds, along with Iowa for the playoffs. And then there's the elimination. October 10th, we're off. Then we come back on the 17th with the round of 8. Vegas, Talladega, off for Halloween. And we got a problem on the racetrack now as we got a car wrecked here. There you see the Audenbacher Smith machine trying to run down Ledbetter, the Nationwide Chevrolet, Auto Nation number 36, and this is honestly probably the best thing we're watching on track right now. Keep it up now with Reynolds inside, outside, and there's Barnes, 1 and 2. Inside of the racetrack. Watch this going off into the corner into turn number 1. Barnes holding his line. Reynolds is there. Cleared him. Brian Barnes, at one time of that Popsicle Toyota, was one of the dominators in the beginning of the year, staying in the points, being consistent, mind you, for the championship, and he has put himself in a very nice, comfortable position, no doubt, to be there for the postseason when that takes place. Working up the racetrack now, Smith and Ottenbacher. There goes also Ledbetter. They're getting around that other slow traffic of, I think it was Burke's car. Got a car in trouble. That's Ledbetter, the Nationwide Auto Nation Chevrolet. Ledbetter's car. We bring in Justin Prince next. We're also at the top of the hour. We'll pause for 10 seconds of network identification on the Community Radio Network.
Community Radio Network, WCRN 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Raleigh, North Carolina, USA. We are CRN.
Getting ready to put 20 laps on the board. Welcome back to coverage of iRacing on LSRTV, simulcast on the Community Radio Network. Of course, phenomenal job behind the scenes for Rocket Media. Charles Wooten on the production. Simulcast on CRN. And, of course, I'm Wesley Outland. Joining us now in the broadcast booth. Glad to have him back. Our friend of the North from Canada. This is close to Canada at Watkins, Glen. Justin Prince, a fairly clean race so far. But, again, we still got a really, really good amount of racing left to go. It's good to have you again here, buddy.
Thank you very much. Oh boy,
whoa,
trouble for Devin West.
Devin West going into that first turn and just simply lost it there, if you will, Justin. We'll give you a second chance at the introduction.
Was about to say Sean Brightsman definitely missed the breaking point on that point and caused that contact. But this is the type of racetrack that's very rhythmic. It's quick, but it's one where you need to be able to hit a good, firm rhythm. And at this point, some of the drivers, you see right there with Brightsman, just not having the good rhythm at that point. Lake Peterson, though, having a strong rhythm up the front along with Cole Raz.
Road course events here at Watkins Glen right now, 19 laps completed. Remember, sometime between lap number 21 to 27, before halfway and a few laps after halfway, in this race, as lap number 23 will be the halfway flag of the event, we will have that one mandatory caution. Again, I say this again, Anderson struggling tonight, obviously, Justin, after dominating at Richmond last week in Cup and Truck. But it's Peterson and Raz. You think of the big three on the Cup side of things, and for the Northwest Cup iRacing, I have to say, even though Anderson's struggling tonight, it would be him, Lake Peterson, and Cole Raz. Your thoughts on that? And a good run for Dan West Jr. also in the top 5 with Bloom and Sherwinski.
Well, it's not a surprise to see Anderson down at the bottom. We've seen him struggle a lot in Road America. But with Lake Peterson, he is someone who we've always seen be strong on the road courses. Not a surprise to see him be up by the margin of nearly 2 seconds. He is currently trying to lap by many drivers in the traffic. But looking as this battle goes on between Briar Reynolds and BJ Tidrick, this is also the type of racetrack where if you aren't able to maximize your braking points and hold on to the grip, especially in areas like the bus stop, you're in for a tough night.
Morgan lap number 21 of 55. There's that boot entrance that many people, honestly, Justin, they wish they'd bring the boot back.
The boot is an intriguing part of the racetrack, I will say, where there is an outer passing zone or two to rhythm in to that part of the track. But it's also, keep in mind, that little short chute section that's built up for the NASCAR layout at Watkins Glen that builds up a lot of that excitement up to turn 6 and makes it that very quick road course feel we get here at the stock cars.
And currently right now, Peterson doing everything he needs to do to stay in that top spot. There you see him now, and he's actually overcoming lap traffic, as right now Troy Daggett under attack to go a lap down by the leader in the 4-5 Studios, number 99, Haviland Machine on the driver left, driver right. Peterson clears him, going now back to turn 7 to the straightaway, put him a lap down. Now 21 cars on the lead lap, but that's it, and he's actually coming hot and heavy for the other drivers of Ritters and company. That's all going on in front of him as we are closing in on that window of sometime. The yellow flag, Justin, can be coming out here, and that is going to really shuffle it up. We just don't know a matter of when it will be.
Either way, that would be within the window to make it to the end on gas. Takes away that opportunity if the green flag stops. Looking like some of the other drivers, though, just struggling to find a way to make these moves. You're taking a look for a sample. Casey Garber trying to get around John Onbacher, who cut through the inner loop. Someone is pitting in front of them. James Vining trying to pit before the caution. And James Vining parking in the 333.
Yeah, whatever's going on with him, he is going to park that car and call it a night. Devin West, Sean Brightsman, teammates there. And that's the battle brewing for position right now for 7th and 8th position right now. Devin West, the Chevrolet Camaro, the Toyota Camry of Sean Brightsman, the 2020 Series champion. And they work their way here. And it's 7 turns here at Watkins Glen. And I mentioned as we are getting ready to just come after halfway of this race and get ready for the second half, any moment we could see the yellow flag come out between 21 to 27 is what we were told the caution window could be. And obviously, Justin, this is, you're going to hear terms, and we've already started using it, like, you know, the S's, the inner loop, the carousel, these driver right, driver left, these moves on the rumble strips. All of these things are analogies that you don't usually hear in the pavement world until you come to a road course like Watkins Glen.
It's such a historic racetrack, keep in mind as well, since the 1950s essentially. They've raced at the permanent layout for Watkins Glen. It's always a track that, when you think about road course racing with stock cars, one of the first that comes to mind is, of course, Watkins Glen, just with the amount of history it's built up since its heyday. And of course, it's a track that's hosted Grand Prix racing in the past and World Championship levels. It's a racetrack that brings so much intrigue, and of course, it's had its most amount of people at the facility and having to sell it since 2014 in the real world this past weekend.
Yeah, I was watching some of the race yesterday. 30 laps to go here, by the way, in the feature event tonight for the Northwest iRacing Cup cars here at Watkins Glen. Just listening to radio and some of the TV analogies and commentary, and they say sells out, and it still gets bigger and bigger year after year with not only campsite parking, trackside parking, but the grandstands, and especially down the front straightaway and from the turn 6 and 7, the left-hander right here where they're overtaking right now, all the way back to start finish, the big grandstands. They actually got to bring in more grandstands because it just continues to get bigger and bigger year after year. And yeah, this was one of those tracks, and we got a caution out of the speedway now. This is your mandatory caution on lap number 25 when they come to the start finish line. 25 laps completed, working lap 26. So with 30 laps to go now, we now have the yellow flag. And I'm telling you, Justin, I believe everybody is going to peel onto the pit lane. Everyone's going to pit.
Yeah, this makes it to the end. There is one driver who I noticed who had just completed their service prior to that caution flag coming out. Sean Brightsman. He kept the lead lap with the time to the caution flag. Brightsman may cycle to the point here and gain some valuable track position. Lake Peterson looked like he was just about to pit before the caution there.
And how many times have we seen Sean Brightsman do strategy things like this before?
At least half a dozen to a triple dozen times.
If there's anybody we know that can pull the trigger, per se, and make a desperate attempt to be there at the end when it counts the most, or make that pit stop before everyone else will, no doubt about it. Sean Brightsman has made some crazy bonsai attempts to win these races. Sometimes they work, sometimes they do not. We'll probably cover these pit stops for you and then take an extended commercial break. It'll probably be the only chance we get to go to break in this race, because when they come back, they'll race to the finish. It's 55 laps, by the way. Over 140 miles in this race here tonight. So definitely remember, the trucks will be here on Thursday. Justin, it's so good to have you back here with us again, man. I missed your voice for sure.
Glad to have you back. Glad to be back as well, I should say. But these drivers about to start the pit stop window.
Here comes the cavalry on the pit lane, like we mentioned. Lake Peterson, Cole Raz, and all the others. Wow, Paulison doesn't pit. Did Brightsman stay out? Yeah, well, let's see if he pits it. Yeah, we'll see if he commits yet. He's coming up on he's staying out. Yes, sir. So there's that strategy you mentioned. Everyone else, though, coming to the pit lane. They're all in, except for Brightsman. As you mentioned, you called it perfectly, Justin Prince. He now comes to the lead. Cole Raz is in. Peterson, Cherwinski, Smith, West, the father-son, Bloom, Fletcher, Gamble, White, Reynolds, Ottenbacher, Barnes, and now they begin on pit exit. And it looks like Lake Peterson is going to be the first man out behind Brightsman.
Good stop for Lake Peterson with the fuel. Raz, Dan West Jr., Ryan Bloom, Chris White, Devin West, Robert Gamble, Brian Barnes. Once your top 10 race with Will Fletcher and BJ Tidrick off the lane. But Brightsman, very lucky indeed. Gets to be able to control the field here coming to the restart. He was, remember, in 8th position prior to the caution flag. Now it's a true test. Can the 46 stay out? Tyler, not really much of a difference. In fact, no difference at all because of the time of the caution flag compared to everybody else here.
26 of 55 laps. So your top 5 as it stands include Sean Brightsman, who did not pit. He pitted earlier. Lake Peterson, of course, Cole Raz, Dan West Jr., Ryan Bloom after this cycle of green flag pit stops. We're back in a moment. iRacing on LSRTV, simulcast on CRN, the Community Radio Network, the Northwest Racing Series from Watkins, Glen. Hey, it's broadcast personality Wesley Outland up topside at one of the great racetracks of the world, the Caraway Speedway. And I'd like to remind you to join us every Wednesday afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern to 3 p.m. Eastern with coverage of Finish Line, where we talk to everybody from NASCAR to grassroots, like right here at Caraway Speedway. Carolina's Fox Sports Radio affiliates, iHeartRadio, and on the Community Radio Network at 87.5 FM. And remember, thanks to Live Sim Racing Productions, you can actually see the guest panel, ask their questions, get interactive with us with comments and so much more in our chat box. Finish Line every Wednesday. Join us every week.
Your CRN, my CRN, our CRN. We are CRN. The Community Radio Network now and the new WCRN 87.9 FM. And still always anywhere worldwide at wearecrn.com. We are CRN. Welcome to the Community Radio Network. Follow us always via social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at CRN Sports. Plus, listen to the new CRN 87.9 and still anywhere worldwide at wearecrn.com. We are CRN.
Lights are off on the pace car. Welcome back to our coverage of iRacing here for the Northwest Racing Series. Justin Prince, Wesley Outland, ready to bring you the second half of Watkins Glen. One thing we know is the lights are off on the pace car. We await the restart as they come to the what will be the part of the racetrack that is the backstretch leading into the, coming off the carousel. They're actually coming off the carousel already through the inner loop. But one thing I will say, though, Justin, as we get ready to drop the green flag here in about 2 turns on the straightaway, restarts for road course racing are normally very, very fun for us.
A lot of major sends into the 90 expected here for some of these drivers. A great chance to gain some track position. Watch for that send from Cole Raz potentially coming out to the 90.
Making that 90-degree turn off the turn number 7. Pace car makes the right-hand turn onto the pit lane. Back to the Geico restart zone. Here they come. Back to the gearboxes. Green flag goes back in the air. It's Brightsman on the outside. That's driver right. Driver left is Peterson. And away we go to turn number 1, JP.
Wright's been able to hold on firmly. Peterson with a bobble holds on a second. Cole Raz makes his way up the S's. Raz up to 3rd spot. Dan West Jr. in 4th. Brightsman spins for the race lane in the wall.
And he tangles more cars. Bloom got collected. Bloom got hit. More cars got a part of it. And while this goes on, it is no caution. They're still wrecking behind them as they're trying to get through the wreck over there with Sean Brightsman, Ryan Bloom, and more. Looks like Noah Shawinski might have got a piece of it. And Brightsman car is crashed.
Shawinski cuts the course, trying to get around all the incidents. Bloom mandatory repairs. He was involved in the incident with having contact.
Ryan Bloom in trouble. More cars with damage. We're going to try to see if maybe we can find a replay for you and put it up on the screen on a small box, mind you. That's probably the biggest wreck of the race so far we have seen tonight. And really, big implications as Barnes is now going off course there, Justin.
Barnes mandatory repairs. Barnes has to come down to the pit lane as well. Major chassis damage, trying to stay to the bottom around Aaron Cooper. Several of your contenders just barely missing that. Peterson back to the point with that.
And they're coming onto the pit lane. Of course, there is Barnes' car. One of the drivers that was a contender all year long and to be in the hunt for the points lead. Camary on pit lane. Barnes is now putting the Popsicle Matco Tools Toyota to the attention of his crew as they make, he overshot his pit stall. And meanwhile, Brightsman rolling the dice, failing. Here's your look on the replay. Watch this all break loose. As they're going back into turn number 1, it looked like it was going to be a good hole shot for Sean Brightsman. I gotta wonder if he had some help or did he just lose it on his own, Justin?
Just lost it on his own. Looked nice and calm on the run through to the S's. Up the hillside, just steps out of him, right to the Armco barrier. Goes right back into Bloom and Barnes in the part of the pack.
And luckily, Ryan Bloom and Brian Barnes are the only 3 cars that got connected into that accident. So a 3-car incident, and their cars are all behind the wall now, either several laps down, taking a fast repair. It looks like they've actually either going on the damage clock. And now Carl Burke shoots out of the gap off the turn, moving into the S's. Burke's Camaro really tight on that smoky unit throwback to the 53.
He looped it around indeed in the 53 machine. Casey Garber trying to close up on the 94. Not the cleanest of restarts for most of the drivers. Sherwinski's held on to the 8th position despite the track course cut penalty. What a wild sequence, to say the very least. Your top 2 have already pulled away by 5 seconds.
And you got to remember, Justin, one of the things we mentioned, obviously, my friend, is that we were probably looking forward to seeing these wild restarts. It always happens that way, and then once they finally fan back out about 2 laps later, then you pretty much have your field set for the finish.
Not sure if we were expecting that crazy of a start, though, I will say, compared to what we were expecting for the previous races this campaign. Still keep an eye on Burke, though. Burke is still trying to hold on. That car still mightily struggling on corner exit in the 53.
All of this happening with the drivers working their way back around the start-finish line. And still a lot of racing remaining. With Peterson, Raz, West, White, West, top 5. That's the way it stands. And there you see Chris White now. Bonsai, driver right. Devin West looking. trying to make a move as they go to the inner loop. Hits the rumble strips perfectly, precision, reeling him in like bait on a hook. Down as they work into the turn of the carousel. And that little slip by White just allows Devin West to close in on him. At the end, White accelerates away from West and company as they go into turn number 6, Justin.
And waiting in the popcorn seat, Chris White rips it up the track, drips the back tires. Devin West plants the back tires in towards the final corner through turn 7. Devin West within a car length, bobbles up the track. Chris White tries to play defense in the 6 of the flag stand.
And while all this goes on, the field will make their way back across the start-finish line. Another lap will go up on the board with now looking at 20 laps to go. Coming to the home stretch of this race. Road course racing at Watkins, Glen. I know 20 laps to go sounds like a short distance, but honestly, for this road course, it's still almost 40 miles remaining there.
So lots of time for drivers to get to work. Devin West trying to get to work for 4. Chris White going to the right side. Gives it up, lets Devin West on by. Devin West up 4 positions the past 15 laps. Devin West started this race in 8th. He's up to 4th through the carousel.
All of this happening now with 20 laps to go. This time by, they come back to the start-finish line, and it is still Peterson, the leader. There's Devin West, and that driver of Sean Brightsman now, who is 1 lap down, fighting with lead lap cars. All this happening now as they work to turn number 6, the 90-degree left-hander, the 90-degree right-hander. Back to start-finish. There goes Toby Ritters. Good solid run for the Clifford machine. The Budweiser 23 nestled behind Reynolds' car. This is for 13th and 14th as they go to turn 6.
And Fletcher trying to poke to the outside as well in the 15th spot. Not able to do so going through turn 6, back through turn 7. And back up behind Clifford. Trying to find a way to close up a car length off to the 90.
Happening now as they come back around. Jeff Stabnow is in trouble now. Jeff Stabnow in the 24. He had problems in the beginning of the race, and now he has issues yet again. Stabnow's car back rolling. Not been a good night, not been a good year for the Billings, Montana native in the 24.
To this point, it's not been the prettiest of runs for that 24 machine. 24th position, the car number so far tonight. Keeping an eye, though, on some of the other packs. Robert Gambill in 8th position. They're attacked by Jaden Ledbetter. Ledbetter trying to back up the entries, waiting for a chance to take advantage of Gambill. He overshoots his run through turn 7.
All of this happening now as they work their way now off turn 7, back to start finish. Jumping out of line is that 36 machine. That's Ledbetter's car. He had problems earlier. He's right back in the game now, fighting with these machines as they are working now. Next time by, 20 laps to go here at Watkins Glen. People settling in for the finish as they work their way to the S's. There is that Nationwide Auto Nation Chevrolet. That is Ledbetter. Behind him is Gamble. Robert Gamble in that Bumblebee looking 54 car. A good solid run for him in the top 15 as they go to the inner loop, Justin.
Robert Gambill started off in 12th position, back to 9th currently. Doing a solid job indeed in the midst of this run. Keeping an eye, though, in the battle just in front. Sherwinski has closed in on Kevin Smith. Up the track and using all the runoff spaces. Smith coming out of the carousel. Sherwinski as close as half of car length this lap to the 00. Smith trying to use the runoff space again out of turn 6.
All of this happening now. 20 laps to go into turn number 6 now. Into turn number 7. The right-hander now becomes the left-hander. Here we go. Into the corner. They go from the left-hander to the right-hander, coming to the start-finish line. They're going to try to stick it 3 wide. Ledbetter thought about it for a second, Justin. Up on the binders in the rumble strip is Kevin Smith. This all getting good as they're door-to-door going through the S's and heading the way to the back straightaway.
Sherwinski forced to give, though. Nearly smacked the arm cone to the right side. Smith able to defend. Back off towards the inner loop they go. Sherwinski back by a car length. Tries to play defense on Ledbetter. Sharper to the inside using all the rumble strip. Smith backs up the corner. Smith backs everyone back up. Behind them, Gamble drives by Ledbetter going to the carousel.
And they work to the carousel, exiting off the carousel where the boot used to be here, as they now have that short shoot speed, if you will, coming back to the left-hander. At turn number 6, the left-hander awaits these drivers. And mind you, this is for position 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th, all going at it now as they work their way off of turn 6. The left-hander now becomes a right-hander at turn number 7, 90-degree turn. Back to miss the rumble strips. Miss that retaining wall. Arco barrier coming at you. 19 laps to go. They go back into turn number 1.
Up in front of them, the tire smoke kicked up. Kevin Smith, then Noah Sherwinski, just about below the 90. Sherwinski able to stick it better through the 90, drives up to 6. Behind them, Ledbetter trying to wheel things back up to Gamble in the 36, wanting the spot back near. He trips in the Armco coming up the S's.
Trying to mention that way that you say diamond off the corner. They're trying to diamond off the S's, if you will, and find that preferred line to find the speed. They hit the inner loop now. All those cars trying to miss and bob off the rumble strips. Sideways they are. They still hold in precision down to that spot. Even though Smith spun almost a moment ago in turn number 1, going into that high part of the gravel trap, he goes off the apron again. This opens the door down for more cars coming after him as they go into turn number 6.
Ledbetter shows the nose. Ledbetter sends it. Makes the pass on Robert Gamble. Now Gamble tries to cut back to the inside. Can't get there. Back through turn 7 they go. Ledbetter back inside the top 8 as a result of that move from 21st starting position.
They come back to start finish now. 17 laps to go here at Watkins Glen, with Peterson still the leader. 2.5 seconds back to Cole Raz. Dan West Jr. is leading over son Devin West, and then it's Chris White and Noah Sherwinski. But we're watching this battle now as Kevin Smith, Ledbetter, Gamble, Tidrick, all going at it for this position, and it continues down the back straightaway as they make their way back to the inner loop.
Kevin Smith has been struggling the past couple laps. He's lost 1.5 seconds compared to everyone else behind him the past lap. Ledbetter now within a car length. Tries to use a bit of an arc, trying to get the diamond down on the carousel. Coming out towards turn 6. Closing it up is Ledbetter by about a car length.
Trying so hard to reel them in. Ledbetter trying to close in on Kevin Smith. And while that goes on and that battle for position ensues, Ledbetter now getting company from Gamble and Tidrick, reeling him in as they work their way back off of turn number 7, down to the start-finish line. They hug the outside wall, if you will, to the catch fence instead of staying to the inside pit wall, which is driver left. Smith now driver right. Here comes now Ledbetter. He holds off driver right, and also the machine of Gamble. They all go after him as they work their way to the S's off turn 3.
Up the hillside they go. Ledbetter through the S's. Closes up. Loses ground though. Forced to burp the throttle. Coming up towards the inner loop once again. Coming to 16.5 laps to go. Ledbetter dead even on the marks. This time with Smith as they both hit the rumble strips. Better through the corner is Ledbetter with a kiss from behind from Gamble.
Yeah, all this happening now as they work their way back off into the corner. Here they come back through the carousel part of the race course. They're side by side now. Gamble and the machine of Tidrick, they go at it for 9th and 10th. 8th and 9th, correction. All this going on as we have now Garber going off the reservation. He goes off the race course. He loses ground to Tidrick to get the machine also of Gamble. That battle side by side. 15 laps to go when they come to the line this time by, and they're still dead even as they work off turn 7.
The inside Tidrick able to clear on by Robert Gamble from the checkup. Now it will take them about an hour, couple laps to regather themselves back up to Smith and Ledbetter. To the 90 they go. More tire smoke kicked up in front of them from that pack and head. Smith, Ledbetter still battle into the S's with Tidrick trying to close back up with Gamble, and now Casey Garber in the mix.
So it's still Lake Peterson, the leader, over Cole Raz and Dan West Jr., the top 3. There is a look at the number 9 one more time as you see the distance now between Peterson and Raz. But again, we still continue to follow what is the best battle on the racetrack. That is behind the top 5. Sherwinski, Smith, Ledbetter. This goes on now as they work their way back off the carousel, working into the turn of turn number 6 and 7. All of this great racing going on. Off course goes Smith. Here comes Ledbetter. He just can't seem to kick the door in to make the pass as they move to the left-hand 90-degree turn.
Ledbetter tries to kick it in for the bottom, forces a mistake from Smith. Forced to lift to keep it off of Smith. Into turn 7, Ledbetter trying to go for the wider arc. Smith shower into the corner. Defends, drifts up, just up top of the safer barrier for the moment. There is the cleared pass, 15 to go.
15 laps to go. There goes now Smith again on the defensive. This time he really gets on the binders to miss the rumble strips in the apron, to miss that gravel trap. For a long time, Justin Prince, we know back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that used to be a sand trap. This track used to have a lot of sand pits. Not anymore here at Watkins, Glen, and that allows you to be a little bit more competitive, but you still got to slow down.
Ledbetter trying to speed up, though, heading towards the inner loop, forces Smith to send it. Smith backs up the corner. Ledbetter forced to cut through the grass, forced to slow it down to the carousel. Ledbetter just getting boxed in behind Smith. Can't find a way to break out of the cardboard box to the corner.
Moving to the entrance of where the old boot used to be here, down to the exit of the boot as they make their way back to that 90-degree left-hand turn in turn number 6. Another short shoot straightaway, if you will, onto the arc of the 90-degree right-hand turn to turn number 7. We're closing in now on 13 laps to go. It's Tidrick and Gamble. They're fighting with it like they're in the funny papers, coming back to the line. And still in front of them, it is Smith holding off Ledbetter as that goes on back into turn number 1.
No playing defense, big lockup in front of them. Smith off the track. There goes Ledbetter to the right side. Smith loses one spot. Tidrick tries to make it 2. Tidrick to the right side, makes the pass into the S's. Robert Gambill now dives to the right side. Has to back it down. Smith drops back to 9th with a mistake.
That's one of those things we watched as he got up off that gravel trap, if you will, and when he hit that apron, he lost all that momentum, and now he gets passed by the cars of Ledbetter, Tidrick. Now Smith falling back to 9th. Now he's in the clutches of this battle between Robert Campbell and Kenneth Garber as they work their way off the carousel to turn number 6.
Tidrick building up a buffer now over Smith. Smith's tires completely going off a cliff at this point. Robert Gambill, the next one to take a chance to try and get around the 0-0. Gambill now tries to utilize the arc. Smith misses the bottom of the corner yet again. Tidrick builds up nearly a half a second to a second advantage over that battle.
All of this happening now as they work their way back across the start-finish line. Coming to the crosshairs of the finish now as cars are starting to limp and wake their way, battered, banged, and bruised to the finish. It's Peterson, Raz, West. That's father and son. White is 5th. Sherwinski, Ledbetter, Tidrick, Smith, Gamble, top 10, 13 to go. Smith, Gamble, Garber. That goes on as they work their way to the backstretch, heading to the inner loop.
Gamble nearly using all of the runoff space to try and get the run, heading to the inner loop. All the way to the back bumper. Smith forced to check up hard. Garber cuts to the right, just avoids the track course penalty. Gambill forced to reset as Smith uses the 3rd line to the carousel.
Man, I'm telling you, Justin Gamble, if he would have been able to send it just a little bit more and maybe miss the rumble strips, he might have been able to make that move and get a pass there on that driver of Mr. Kevin Smith. But all the while, this battle continues now as brake rotors are glowing cherry red on the left front wheel of the 99 of Troy Daggett's car. He battles with Ritters. This is for 13th, 14th, and 15th on the racetrack as they work their now part of the racetrack into turn number 6.
Ritters has been holding on to this spot for the past little while or so. These are the last 2 drivers on the lead lap. Daggett using a bit of the rumble strip. Ritters keeping it more conservative. Still able to hold on and get a good launch compared to Daggett behind them.
Back across the start-finish line as they cross the front stretch. It's 11 laps to go now. 11 remaining here with all of this happening when they come to the line. It's Lake Peterson. Correction, 12 to go. My apologies. 12 laps remaining in this race as these drivers are now working their way to not only battle for position to stay on the lead lap, but also 11 remaining as now the leaders have crossed the start-finish line. All of this happening now as Kevin Smith dirt tracks it. He gets cocked sideways, pulls the trigger and fires the weapon down to the bottom of the racetrack on Gamble. He'll stay to driver left, driver right Gamble. They'll work their way into that part of the racetrack where something's got to give here, and they still hold on as they work their way up to turn number 7.
Gamble wraps around the bottom, coming out of 7. Making it shallow. Smith having the better pull for a moment. Had to stall out of the gears, though. Gamble has a good chance in the 90. 90 run. The 54. Forced to take the shallow line. Smith lets him have the space. Up the spot goes Robert Gamble. Next up, Casey Garber.
Couple of Chevrolets and Camaros, a Ford Mustang GTs going at it for position. The Aerokinetic number 54 for Gamble now starting to pull away from the entry of the Click It RV entry Ford of Kevin Smith. The solid black stealth car as also now Gamble, they all pass Carl Burke again for position on the racetrack. And while that happens, this battle continues with Garber now trying to run back down Kevin Smith. But now with 10 laps remaining, settling in here for this finish. This is a nice solid top 10 run for these guys.
Yes, indeed it is. Yes, it's 41 seconds back at the race leaders, but points are points, right?
That's right.
Yep. That's going to be critical.
This is the penultimate race of the regular season as well, Justin. We go to Darlington next week, and it's all bets off to lock in your final round of 12.
Exactly. So you need to be able to score as best of finishes you can if you want to be able to contend for a championship, right? So this is one of those races where you need to do well in if you want to win the title, especially knowing what can happen from that point forward.
It's amazing, this battle that we've been watching between Gamble and Smith and Garber is for 9th, 10th, and 11th. However, it is 40-plus seconds back to the leader of Lake Peterson as now he works his way off of turn number 7. We're in single digits now, 9 laps to go. And the second place car you just see pop up over the hill is called Raz. 2.3 seconds back. Can he run him down? Is he playing possum to try to make a move on Lake Peterson? Or is car number 9 looking for win number 9 here tonight at Watkins Glen? He's in the S's there, JP.
Peterson is in a great position to be able to win this race. Clean space for the time being. Might get into a bit of traffic in the final couple laps of this race, but he has not made any major mistakes all race. Raz just hasn't been able to capitalize on any of the mistakes. At one point, it was down to half a second during the previous run. Peterson's been a very, very different driver this run. Couple tenths of a second quicker to a couple 100ths per lap quicker than Raz this run.
Lake Peterson has 8 wins this year so far. They include Dover, Bristol Dirt, Coda Grand Prix, Texas, Sonoma, Road America, Chicago, New Hampshire. Justin, do you catch the trend there of the road course victories for Lake Peterson?
I think he's the best road course racer in the series right now. It's going to be very difficult to pass him to the rest of the way. That's to say the very least. Speaking of passing, though, Sherwinski has rallied his way up to Chris White through turn 6. It's down to 3 car lengths.
Yeah, it's a 90-degree turn to turn number 6, a left-hander. Then it's turn number 9 now, that 90-degree right-hand turn as they hit that here off of turn number 7 back to the main straightaway. Here comes a burst of speed from the outside on driver right. That's Sherwinski's car. He looks outside. He looks inside. Throwing the block is White. He's under attack. They both lock him up going to turn number 1.
Sherwinski just stays off the runoff area as a result of the block. 1 second buffer built up by Chris White. Chris White not wanting to give up a top 5 run up to the S's, trying to hold on. It was a tenth of a second quicker still for Sherwinski last time by.
And remember, Chris White, the defending series champion of last year in his B Ford Mustang right now, 32 seconds back to the leaders. Honestly, Peterson and Raz are the only 2 cars up in the front. It is 22 seconds back for West to Raz, 24 seconds back for Dan West Jr. in 3rd, and son Devin West to Peterson for the win. 7 laps to go. We watch now 4th, 3rd, and 4th work their way now off the carousel to turn number 6.
Devin West gained a couple tenths last time by to have a shot at his father, Dan West Jr. 5 car lengths the advantage. Worth noting, Brian Bard, Sean Breisman, after their incidents just a few laps ago at the start of the restart, rather, they are closed up as well for 16th and 17th.
All of this happening now as they work their way now. We watch father and son coming through the S's of the racetrack now. Off the S's now, working their way on that short back stretch now to the inner loop. They are way, way behind the leaders, but they still have a solid top 3 and 4 position on the racetrack. And right now, I would just say battle amongst father, son. You know they're going to go at it for position, Justin, but be happy with a solid top 5 finish going into Darlington next week.
Solid run, a solid drive to catch up here, mind you, for the 5 machine. It was a few seconds back after the incident. Devin West has just been able to chip away at Dan West Jr. this entire run based on consistency. Loose coming out of turn 7. Here comes Devin West.
Yeah, I told you father and son will go at it. There you see Dan West Jr. inside, driver left, driver right. Devin West, he'll throw the needle down into turn number 1 to the right side passenger of the 55, and he'll clear him as he hits the rumble strips. Going to turn number 1, heading up the hill to the S's. And now Dan West Jr. will fall back to son Devin West, who goes to 3rd.
Up the hillside they go. Devin West now looking to clear things away for 3rd position. Up nearly a 1-second advantage over his father. Devin West, a solid drive throughout the night.
Oh, Dan West Jr. overshot, drove it in the grass there. That's not a penalty, though. Am I right, Justin? Because he at least tried to attempt to go to the inner loop.
No cut-through penalty. It's still some incident points going the way of the 55, though. That breaks that up. Speaking of drivers with penalties, Jeff Stabnow has one for incident points. He's trying to let by these battlers for 5th and 6th. Chris White now gets a buffer car on Sherwinski, heading to turn 6 through the short chute. Sherwinski sends it hard to the left, diving on in, misses the part of the corner, locks up the tires as he takes the runoff.
And while all this happens, open hand from your flagman on the starter stand. It is 5 laps to go now as all this lap traffic like the 21st place car. Jeff Stabnow now peels on to driver right onto the pit lane. He maybe has had enough of Watkins Glen tonight. He'll prepare for Darlington. 5 laps to go. But by the way, the trucks will be here at Watkins Glen on Thursday night. We'll have coverage along with our crew coming up on Thursday night right here at the Glen on the Community Radio Network and iRacing on LSRTV. This is now another battle that's heating up. This is Barnes and Brightsman, 16th and 17th. Couple of cars that were on the restart earlier after halfway, caught up in the accident. You got to think, Justin, if Brightsman could have played that strategy right and not made that dirt track spinning mistake in the S's, he might have been the guy we'd be talking to in victory lane now.
That might have been an intriguing part of this race, or we might have been talking about Brightsman inside the top 3 with the strategy play, but instead, trying to battle it out, Toyota on Toyota, to the right side of the carousel. Barnes overrunning the curbing. Brightsman moves up a spot.
Man, did you see the precision driving Sean Brightsman just made, working through the inner loop and making his way around the carousel now? Down off the boot, the entrance of the boot, the exit of the boot now, the 90-degree left-hand turn to turn number 6. Brightsman now getting around Barnes for that position. By the way, they are a couple of lap down machines, but what we mentioned with 4 laps to go, Justin, they're also drivers that are in the top 10 of the points. You want to make the round to 12, you want to make the first round, you need to get as many positions and points as you can, because that will determine everything after Darlington next week as they go back to turn 1 with 4 to go.
The highest I think they can get, though, that's the tough thing for them right now. The next nearest driver is about 40 seconds up on interval Toby Ritter's around the racetrack. But for the race lead, it is intriguing. It's worth noting Cole Raz is within 1.6 seconds. He has been chipping away at the gap on Peterson. Traffic gave away some of the time. Raz might have a shot here if he can force a mistake, or at least keep the time he's been gaining in Sector 2 of this track.
Yeah, coming up on less than 10 miles remaining here for this road course race at Watkins Glen. 2.5 laps remaining, 2 to go when they come back to the line. Peterson hits the inner loop perfectly. Cole Raz follows. He's had some lap traffic in front of the leader of Peterson, and he's trying to see if he can use that as an advantage, but also that number 10 Chevrolet Wells Vision entry has started to turn up the wick as well, and he is already reeling him back in as they go solidly into turn number 6, 2 to go this time by as they work off turn number 7 there, Justin.
1 second behind Lake Peterson. So far, Raz has been absolutely attacking the bus stop. Is there enough time to get up to Peterson, though, is the question. This time around, the time advantage gain, 3/10. Off to the 90 they go. Raz trying to slowly roll it through. Peterson better on the launch.
I think I said Wells Vision. It's actually the Wells Johnson Mechanics number 10 entry Chevrolet trying to run back down the machine of Lake Peterson. 2, now make it 1.5 laps to go as they work their way through the S's off of turn 4 to the back straightaway. The back straightaway becomes the inner loop, and guess what there, Justin? Lap traffic is in their midst as they hit it.
Jeff Stab now right in front of them. 4/10 picked up by Raz, this time to the bus stop. Loses ground trying to keep it out of the grass. Stab now moves to the outside of the carousel, moving out of the way of the race leader of Peterson. Now Raz forced to cut all the way to the runoff area. 7/10 the gap coming up to turn 6.
Yeah, I think that Jeff Stab now says, have at it, boys, and he let them have it at it. Working to turn number 6. They're going to work their way down to that 90-degree right-hand turn or into turn number 7. Back to the front of the masses of grandstand virtual fans. And to the flag stand. The white flag is in the air. The CRN 1 to go. Final lap at the Glen. Peterson, Raz, one more shot to get them. Justin, they're in turn number 1.
Heading to the S as they go. Half a second the distance. Raz has had to gain almost 3 seconds to get back up here. He hits the rumble strips, going to the first part of the S's, loses some ground. Peterson regains some of the momentum, heading off towards the inner loop for the final time around.
They're on the back straightaway. It's Peterson out, burning on the afterburners, if you will. More lap cars, 2 of them in the way. He'll hit that inner loop. They rumble strip one more time. He cocks it dirt track sideways. Raz tries to close in the arc one more time, Justin, as they head to the carousel.
Both of them slide to the carousel. Peterson gets the grip quicker. Raz trying to find a way to close. Lap traffic moves to the left side and Carl Burke out of the way of the race lead fight. 2 more chances for Raz. Raz tries to go harder into the corner. Can't get to the bumper coming to the final turn.
Here they come into turn number 7, popping around the corner to the turn, to the start-finish line. Lake Peterson in car number 9 will pick up win number 9 and another win on the road course this year. A dominating performance by the quicker state number 9 Chevrolet. Lake Peterson solidifies himself as the road course king. The number 1 ace in the hole this year has done it again tonight at the Glen. Second spot will go to Cole Raz, the number 2 seed this evening, but another great competitor. Devin West gets around Father Dan West with under 10 laps to go to finish in 3rd. Father-son 3rd and 4th. And Chris White, a solid top 5 finish. As you see, Cole Raz giving the obligatory bump there to the number 9 of Lake Peterson. Attaboy, what a job. And again, just sheer domination. Like we mentioned for Caden Anderson last week in Richmond, Justin, the same can be said by Lake Peterson. He is just the class of the field here tonight as both of them purposely now drive through the inner loop, but it doesn't matter because the race is over.
Lake Peterson putting on an inner clinic tonight. Cole Raz really showcasing some good improvement though on the road courses. This is best run on a road course in my honest opinion from him. If he had a narrow lap, Wesley, we might be talking about Cole Raz bumping running Peterson for the win.
Yeah, he was certainly trying everything he could to kind of close in there and make something happen. And I kind of wonder, Justin, they keep giving the push to the 9. I wonder if Peterson's out of fuel. I'm really wondering this. I'm wondering if the 10 is not only, you know, give him the congratulations, but he might be pushing him back down the front straightaway. Now he's coasting because Lake Peterson might be out of fuel here.
We'll see the true answer if Peterson's able to do some burnouts here.
And he can't. He can't do it. He's out of fuel.
That might have been a factor then in terms of the closing. If he thought he couldn't make it on gas, that might have opened things up a bit.
I mean, it's obvious. No Northwest high five salute, no burnouts, no celebration until Chris White, defending champion of last year, puts in the punt to the 9. But I don't think Lake Peterson has any gas. And now the Northwest high five salute without any fuel for the winning car of Lake Peterson is underway. The obligatory demolition derby as our post-race shenanigans here for all Northwest competition. And wow, boy, they're bonsaiing each other, tearing these cars all to pieces now.
What a race, though. What a race.
And a fuel strategy at best as well, because Lake Peterson, I'm guessing he coasted around. He couldn't come back around. He had to have Cole Raz help him to get him. He ran out of fuel. So here's a look at the unofficial results. Lake Peterson, the winner. Cole Raz, half a second back at the checker flag. Devin West, third to son. The father, Dan West, for third and fourth. Fifth will go to Chris White. Noah Shawinski will finish in sixth. Seventh will go to Jaden Ledbetter. BJ Tidrick will finish in that number 8 position. Robert Gamble, ninth. And Kevin Smith, Justin, your top 10 here at the Glen.
11th spot going to Casey Garber, the last driver of the lead lap. Carl Burke in 12th. John Annenbacher, Troy Daggett, Toby Ritters, the top 15. John Brightsman, who led the way for the restart, crashes, finishes 16th over Brian Barnes. Then Ryan Bloom, 2 laps down in 18th. Aaron Cooper, 3 laps down in 19th. Stephen Paulison, 3 laps down in 20th.
21st tonight will be Jeff Staff, now 4 laps down, along with Frank Harris. Multiple laps down in double digits include Brian Reynolds, 23rd, William Fletcher, Chad Malik, the top 25, Chris Kamari, Caden Anderson, James Vining, Russ Lundberg, and Stephen O'Hare. The full field rundown when this race concluded here at the end of 55 laps. Let's see the race summary. I know there was only 1 yellow flag in the race on the bottom left of the monitor, but there you see 3 caution laps. That's when the caution came out for the halfway break or before the mandatory caution, whenever we didn't know that was. And 3 lead changes, and honestly, that was, of course, between Peterson and Raz. Peterson got it back, and then when Brightsman got passed by Peterson on that restart after halfway, and that, again, Lake Peterson, just great performance for the number 9. And again, fuel strategy as well. Justin, he ran out of fuel.
Yep, indeed, but still, what a run tonight for the 9 machine. Led much of the way. That speed absolutely showcased itself right from the get-go.
Coming up, the finish line, post-race wrap-up. We'll grab a word with the top 3 drivers, including Devin West, Cole Raz, the 9-time winner this year in car number 9, carrying all that momentum into the postseason at the end of the penultimate race tonight. Here is Lake Peterson. From Watkins, Glen International, this is the Northwest Racing Series on the Community Radio Network and iRacing on LSRTV. We're back in a moment. Welcome back to Watkins Glen International coverage of round number 22 in the books for the Northwest iRacing Cup Series. Justin Prince, Wesley Outland, great work behind the scenes as always by our production truck for Rocket Media Live Racing LSRTV coverage, iRacing, including Charles Wooten. And we're going to grab now our top 3 when it's all said and done. They're still talking about the restart that really made it exciting. We'll get their thoughts in a moment as Father West finally got passed by Devin West with under 10 laps to go. Devin West, a solid top 5 finish tonight. You finish on the podium in 3rd. Your take of the Glen.
Just survive. I mean, I put in like 10 laps of practice, and I was so slow. So I picked up like a second of pace by the end of the race, 2.5, which was kind of crazy. But Cole and Lake were just so far ahead that to get 3rd, I'm pretty happy.
How was that battle, though, with your father to be able to close up to that gap? And it took some time, it seemed, to be able to have a chance at Dan.
Yeah, I mean, he put a bit of practice in this week, and he was comfortably faster than I was going into the race. And so my plan is just to see where I end up and hope that he does pretty well. But like I said, I picked up like a ton of time each lap, just on my own line, that kind of stuff. So after about 10 laps to go, I realized I might well get there, and they started overdriving the car a little bit, and I think eventually I got there. Then I got lazy and all of a sudden back by. So yeah, it all worked out.
Good solid run for you, Devin West. Obviously, you got to feel comfortable carrying this momentum into the postseason.
Yeah, I wish I could run these guys for a championship, but I'm just happy to be here, and I know that I got speed everywhere I go. Even if I'm not winning, I'm running somewhere where it's at least, not too bad. So that's pretty good.
All right, man. Thank your sponsors. We'll see you next week in Darlington.
Yeah, Darlington, great. Effective Web Solutions, Phoenix Custom Hardwood, and Motorsports Distributing.
There's the thoughts of, again, Shelton Washington driver, the number 55, of course, of Mr. Devin West. He'll finish in the number 3 position. Runner-up of the event, second with the most wins this year. He'll look for his number 6 win, maybe by Darlington, ready for the playoffs, though, in the number 2 seed. The driver, of course, of Mr. Cole Raz. Cole, number 10 machine. Your take of this race, if you had another lap, do you think there could have been a different outcome there to get the victory?
I'd say 100% because my good buddy Lake Peterson ran out of fuel after turn 1. So I don't know. I think that's the most fun I've had this year. Just driving all out for 55 laps was a lot of fun. And Lake's so good on these road courses, and to be within 3 seconds of him, I can't be more than happy with. So big congrats to him. He is just so talented. And again, to be that close and to have your tongue out that whole time, it was a lot of fun.
Talk us through the realization that there was a fuel situation for Peterson where you started mowing down time up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tenths a lap to have a chance at Lake.
I mean, I just kept getting more and more aggressive. I feel like I made a lot of time up through the bus stop. Even when he wasn't really saving, I feel like that was my strong suit. But it would all kind of even out with how good he was up the hill through the S's. But, just starts getting your nerves up and adrenaline starts spiking because you see that back bumper getting closer and closer. And, to be within a half a second there across the line was pretty cool. And, to have a teammate win the race is even better.
You had a little snicker there. You heard from Devin West a moment ago when we mentioned Darlington. As somebody that you're going to the postseason, you're locked into the round of 12. Is that an all-out assault to just look for a checkered flag next week at Darlington? What do you think we'll see there in South Carolina virtually?
I think you're going to see some great racing. That's definitely probably one of my more enjoyable racetracks. I feel like we ran pretty good there in the Truck Series earlier the year. Struggled in the Cup side of things, but after the update to these Cup cars, I feel like we'll be pretty good as a whole organization. I think we'll all be pretty solid, and hanging out there against the fence just a few inches away, it's going to be a lot of fun, really entertaining for the fans, and I think you're going to have a lot of good guys competing for a win there.
All right, man. Well, we'll let you go, Cole. Before we do, we'll let you thank your sponsors as always, man.
Yeah, big thank you to the Master Wrench, Wells Johnson, McGonigal Race Engines, Ernest Performance Race Shocks, Magnus Rear Ends, everybody that helps us out on the rail side of things, LSRTV, all you guys for putting this on, and big congrats to Lake again on the, 9th or 10th win this year.
From, of course, Corvallis, Oregon, the driver of Lake Peterson will settle for the 2nd spot here tonight. But again, 5 wins, and he is definitely one of those threat contenders for a championship. We go down to victory lane. The driver of the number 9 gets his 9th win this year. Road courses, exactly as I had mentioned earlier, to go along as they've updated the official tally of the race, which includes now 9 wins, 8 poles, 12 top 5s, and 16 top 10s. road course wins at Road America, Sonoma, and Coda, and now add this one to the column. Lake Peterson, congratulations. And the strategy of nodding your head, shaking your head, the oohing and on to keep it from running out of fuel to win this race. Your take of this this event tonight at the Glen.
Yeah, survived a heart attack with trying to play the fuel too close. I'd say 9/10 of the speed in these cars is the fuel load when it comes to late in the run. And so I took a little less fuel than Cole and had to nurse it the last, like, anytime I could get a gap or Cole would get stuck behind lap traffic and I would be able to extend the lead by a couple tenths here and there, I would save down the straights a little bit and trying to gain a few, like a tenth of a gallon here, a tenth of a gallon there. It was nerve-wracking, and then I ran out of fuel at the end of turn 1 after the race. It was really close. I was trying to manage the gap, and he was running insanely good laps, so it's like he's keeping me honest the entire race. So yeah, definitely got the fuel a little too close there, but it was I was death grip the entire race, trying to make sure I executed every corner to the best I could. He definitely had a great race out there.
And by the way, before Justin, you take over, apologies. Cole Raz is from Lake Oswego, Oregon. I just wanted to get that clarified out there. The winner, Lake Peterson, is from Corvallis, Oregon. He is the man we're talking to right now.
Yes, indeed. And for you, Lake Peterson, of course, you mentioned some of the nerves with that. Talk us through that mindset when you realized, oh boy, the fuel is going to be tight here. What's going to be going on here? What was that kind of reaction to that, and how was that close in the first place? Because it was in a window the time of the caution flag to make it to the end.
Yeah, no, like I said, the lighter the fuel load you have, the faster you're going to be, and so I tried to take as little fuel as possible. And when we were saving, I think when I was trying to do this all in my head, underneath those caution laps, I think when I was saving fuel under caution, my average usage went down, and so that kind of messed up my actual fuel usage. So when we went green, the amount of fuel that I had left to the finish kept going down a little bit, and then with like 9 or 10 laps to go, it was like I was 0.06 gallons to the good to the end of the race, and I knew I was kind of in trouble. So yeah, as soon as that happened, I was like, all right, we got to start saving fuel. And I've never saved fuel ever in this in iRacing. So it was definitely experimenting out there, trying not to throw away the race and messing up shifts and going into full panic mode sometimes, trying to act like I knew what I was doing when I didn't. So yeah, just trying to keep it as clean as possible. Definitely going to take the safer option next time. But yeah, it all worked out in the end, and it was a fantastic race between Cole and I.
Lake, I've got to ask you this question here because I'm looking at the updated point standings, and suffice to say, if you're probably in the top 8, I think you're okay. You're going to be running in the round of 12. But if you're a guy like Brian Reynolds on back to 12th, there's going to be a battle there. Guys outside the top 12, including Ryan Bloom, Toby Ritters, even Carl Burke has a shot, even Frank Harris. What do you think we're going to see as you being the #1 contender in the regular season? Obviously, we could call you the regular season playoff season champion as well going to the playoffs. What type of fireworks do you think will be for that dozen spots to lock in the round of 12 at Darlington next Monday night?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a battle. I think track position and taking care of your stuff throughout the race is going to be extremely important. I don't think it's totally locked up for me because I think Cole still has a pretty generous drop week that he could potentially have, and if I have a bad race, he could capitalize on that, especially if he's able to get some bonus points because I know he's no slouch at Darlington. But I think from either end of the points, whether it's fighting for the win or for the championship, regular season championship, or trying to make the cut line for the playoffs, I think it's going to be a fantastic race. I think Darlington sets it up really nicely because it's definitely a driver's racetrack. So it's nice that this will be put into kind of our hands per se.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I actually overlooked the point standings, and I was thinking that Cole Raz was 50 points back to you. He's actually only 12. 50 points back is Caden Anderson. And again, anything can happen. So we'll get ready for Darlington next week. Congratulations on your 9th win this year, and thank your sponsors.
Yeah, I want to thank Phoenix Designs. Liam Brotherton does all my schemes, and he does an absolutely stellar job. I want to thank everyone at Ski Fleet Enterprises, Justin, Noah, and then Caden Anderson Racing with Cole and Garber. We got Breyer and Caden. I think having that group of guys really pushes each one of us to have as good a performance as we can each Monday. So I think that adds to the fun. I want to thank all our admins, Sean and Jeff, for putting this all together so we can all do this every week and kind of forget about real life and do something really cool with our little community that we have here. And want to thank LSRTV too. I really appreciate the high quality broadcast you guys bring, and I think it's awesome that you give us virtual race car drivers a little bit of the spotlight compared to the real life racers. So I think it's really cool what you guys do for the iRacing community. Thank you guys very much.
Well, you're certainly welcome. We got 2 minutes, under 2 minutes, and we're off the air. Justin Prince, your final thoughts here tonight of the Glen. Darlington, I think, is going to be a war, a virtual war to decide who locks themselves into the round of 12 for a championship. And what's crazy is I cannot believe that we've already reached the regular season home stretch and the playoffs start in 3 weeks.
It was absolute domination, I think, with Lake Peterson tonight. But as he mentioned, Cole Raz definitely keeping him in check. It's going to be an intriguing race at Darlington, though. Plenty of drivers will struggle. The intensity level is expected to be very high.
Watkins Glen in the books. 9th win this year for Lake Peterson, the driver of the number 1 seed. A battle for the 12 spot will be between Aaron Cooper, Jeff Stabnow, Kenneth Garber, Ryan Bloom, Toby Ritters. Don't even count out Carl Burke or Frank Harris. Any of those spots will be up for grabs in the final race of the regular season. Next Monday night for the Northwest Racing Series Cup cars at Darlington. And of course, the trucks will now be at Watkins Glen this upcoming Thursday night, airtime at 8:35 Eastern, Pacific time, 11:25 Eastern. And as always, we'll have it on CRN, the Community Radio Network, after the Wake Forest Clayton football game broadcast. And as always, on iRacing on LSRTV. For our crew, including Jeff Stabnow and Charles Witten for iRacing on LSRTV and our CRN coverage. For Justin Prince, I'm Wesley Outlet. Good night from Watkins Glen, where Lake Peterson dominates for win number 9.